People in Quebec are choosing their next government today as voters head to the polls in the provincial election. Our next guest is taking a look at the issues in this election. Francis Garand is a professor of political science at Glendon College at York University, and his work focuses on public and international affairs. So this morning, I would like to welcome in studio Professor Garand. Nice to have you in studio.
Thank you for having me.
This almost feels like a race for second place at this point.
Yes, it is.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, the the website QC 125 that collects and analyzes different polls and trends estimates the possibility of a victory at 99%.
No.
Yep.
How accurate? I mean, how much weight do we put in that?
A lot of weight, right?
Yeah.
Because in the 55 years old and more, the CAQ has 50% of those, and then they have 45% of the francophones.
So what did François Legault do so well? What did he
I guess he was able, during the pandemic, to talk to Quebecers and to reassure them with the pandemic and what he needs to do. I also think that he, with some issues, he knows how to talk about identity in Quebec, and that's popular for a lot of voters.
But what about when he was discussing immigration, also as former immigration minister, with those comments?
I know. These are unfortunate and highly divisive comments, for sure, right? And he needed to, to apologize a few times about these comments, but the point is, it seems more like a strategy to gain voters because the policies for immigration and integration in Quebec are not as harsh as the discourse, right? So.
So you think that the comments were part of the strategy?
Yes, to mobilize its base, right? It's a strategy now in politics to try to divide the opponents and solidify your base. So it's in that sense that that it's a popular strategy on many issues.
Right. Let's talk about the fact that this is the first election in a long time where people don't have the pandemic restrictions. They don't have to wear a mask. They don't have to separate the 6 feet apart. How is that going to sort of change the landscape today in terms of, let's say, voter turnout, for example? What are we expecting to see?
It's very hard to know. The vote by anticipation was pretty high, so a quarter of the voters went
the advanced polling
before the election. So it's hard to know the exact turnout, though, because for example, the leftist party, Québec Solidaire, is very strong in the 18 to 34 years old, but these people are not voting a lot, right?
That's the thing. And then in terms
it might end up in the for the second place, it might end up with a turnout, in fact.
It's a turnout question. Lastly, I want to ask you about the top priorities going forward. What will be the top priorities for this new government? Yes.
Yeah, well, with the new majority, I don't expect them to go further into this identity policies and politics, right? I see more trying to address the issues in the economy. So he said he would lower taxes, as the Liberals and the Conservatives did, also as promises. But let's see if he can do it. And he also has this, what he called the shield against inflation. So it's a bunch of measures to try to help Quebecers to deal with inflation.
Yeah,
so
top of mind for so many Canadians, Quebecers.
Absolutely.
Yes. Professor Garand, thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.